take advantage of all the free money that your company is giving you. When I think of a wealthy mindset, I don't necessarily think of just money. A wealthy mindset to me is having access to plentiful resources, from education to health to financial freedom. And a wealthy mindset doesn't really mean you're dressing like the rich, you're participating in quiet luxury, those like superficial trends. Money is obviously a big part of being wealthy and having a wealthy mindset, because money is a gateway to the freedoms that I listed out. Freedom of good education, of good access to health and consistent health care, to financial freedom. You gotta have a good amount of money, a certain amount of money, so that you can live that kind of life. Even if you don't have that kind of money just yet, you don't have access to that money yet, you can still have wealthy mindsets to help shape your perspective on life and how you move through life. So even though I'm not where I want to be financially yet, I'm 26. I personally am not putting a lot of stress on that, because let's face it, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not at a tech startup. I don't have a trust fund. I'm not rich, but I have a good amount of money for my current lifestyle. However, there are times where I'm like, dang, I can't spend that much money this month because I got bills to pay. So if you want to hear the mindsets that have helped me increase my salary, that have helped me have a lot of really cool and fun travels and experiences and just live a very fruitful life despite not being rich or having six figures, keep on watching. There are times where I didn't have that much money, and there are times where I felt broke, but I wouldn't say I've been broke, because thankfully, gratefully, I do have a support system. If I ever was in that position, I know I could reach out to my family and they would be able to help me out. Let's talk a little bit about my family, since we mentioned that. So a little bit about my background. I do come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mother, when she came to the States, she was an entrepreneur. She started her own hair braiding business, so I grew up in a hair salon. My grandmother actually was an entrepreneur in her own right in her village, where she would basically use indigo dye from the trees, and she would create the dyes and she would dye fabrics into textiles. And my aunt, who I was named after, was a businesswoman. She was an entrepreneur. So I do have entrepreneurship in my family. So I would say I do have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and that also impacts how I look at things, how I view life. If I can't try, then what's the point? Number one is always wanting better for myself. That is an important mindset to have, because if you don't have that kind of thought process, you can't really feel like a wealthy girl. You can't really feel like you're living in wealth or moving towards a life of wealth. Like I mentioned, I do have an entrepreneurial spirit and an enlightened spirit. Always forward looking, thinking of what I can do next, what I can do to achieve my goals, what I can do to get the life that I dream of. And it really comes from that like immigrant mindset that a lot of first generation Americans have from their parents. Our parents came here, struggled a lot, didn't know the language, they had to learn the language, they had to make a living for themselves, make a means for themselves, all so that their family and their future could have better and more opportunities than they did. And when you see that, when you witness that struggle, when you witness the long days that they're working, there were times where like my mom would work from like 8 or 9 a.m. to midnight, and she had young kids, gotta take care of them. When you see that hard work, you see that hard work ethic, you see that struggle, it teaches you that you are in this country for a reason. Why are you here to mess things up? You have to succeed. You have to succeed because your parents did so much to bring you here so that you could have more and better opportunities for you, and so that your future offspring and the whole generations after, you can leave a legacy and that everyone can rise up and thrive from that. So that's the mindset that I have, and that I think a lot of immigrant families have. You know, there are some downsides to that. Working hard all the time can lead to stress, can lead to lack of sleep, can lead to health issues. You're not really able to take care of yourself. However, there is a point where you can always be a hard worker and not overexert yourself to the point where you can't even work anymore. Make sure you put in the boundaries in place, the balance, so that you can, yes, work hard, but also have rest, because you have to still take care of your body. So that's why I've always had like some kind of side hustle, whether it was making me money or not. So like freelancing on the side, doing UGC content, getting little brand deals. I've always had some kind of side hustle that I'm doing, keeping myself busy so that I can always like have things in place to move me forward. Really helped me increase and learn new comms and marketing skills that I was able to bring back to my job and able to use to either get a promotion or get me a new job where my salary increased. Also, like in college, I had some side hustles. I was doing like filmmaking for the theater company, and I made short films, I did photography. I was not professionally trained in photography or videography. If not, everything was self-taught. And yet, like, I was always just taking on new opportunities so that I could build skills that would help me in that time period, help me for looking for internships and help me looking at jobs. It helped me just position me for the next step. So having an entrepreneurial spirit where you're always looking for better for yourself is so key to having a wealthy girl mindset, because it'll put you in places where you need to be, put you in the steps that you need to take to move forward and reach that life of wealth and create the life of wealth, because you always have something to look forward to. Number 2 is manage your money, obviously. Yes, like I said, having a wealthy girl mindset, money is involved. You need to be financially literate. You do not need to be a financial advisor. Having money goals is very key to having a wealthy girl mindset, because then you're managing your money in a way where you're looking towards the future, because you're managing your money in a productive way so that you have enough funds for your future travel goal or for the home you want to buy. You're able to make a budget for yourself. You're able to balance your money so that you can still live your life but also move towards your money goals. Having an emergency fund is so key for everyone, because you just never know what's gonna happen. So always having an emergency fund that covers maybe like 3 to 6 months of your living expenses just in case is very crucial. And if you are a traveler, having a travel fund as well in your savings is really crucial. When you know that you have a travel fund, that makes it easier to plan for trips. It's not just coming out of your paycheck when you pay for the flight like in a lump sum. You have money set aside, and so you can look towards the future and be excited and really live in that wealthy girl spirit of traveling as well. Since we're talking about savings, you should have a high yield savings account. I've seen recently though that like the high yield savings accounts, the rates are decreasing due to what's happening at the Federal Reserve, but you should still have a high yield savings account because it's a lot more percentage interest that you get each month compared to a regular savings account. Anything that you're saving towards, you have that in there as well. There gets to a point in your high yield savings account where you won't even have to put in money towards your account because the monthly interest becomes the amount of money that you've been putting in. So it's really good to build up that savings account so that you can have your money work for you in a way. When it comes to managing your money with the wealthy girl mindset, you also want to try and think about investing. I know it's kind of hard to think about because we don't have that much money right now. The way that stocks are built, especially like ETFs, for example, this is what they stand for. I don't know off the top of my head, but ETFs allow you to buy a portion. For example, if you're looking at an index fund like the S&P 500, which is a fund that covers all of the top 500 companies in the US, you can see that one stock is like, when I last looked, it was like $600, but you can put in $10 towards that, and then you can put in 20, and then you can just like add in money each month. That is a way that you can build. That is a way for you to own stocks by just buying a small portion of the stock and just building onto that anytime you get a bonus or anytime you get extra money in the bank. And if you are at a job where your job offers a 401k or a retirement, make sure you take advantage of that, especially if there's a match that your job does. Wealthy girl habits. When you're not feeling like you have enough money, take advantage of all the free money that your company is giving you. Be curious and aware of what's happening. We have a lot going on in the world and in our lives, but it's always important to know what's happening, to be present, because life is still evolving around you. Life is still happening around you, and you don't just want to be living unaware of what's going on. You know what I mean? And the reason why I say this, I was recently called exceptional when I went to a bar when I was in New Orleans for work, because I had this conversation with this lawyer, and it was such a well-rounded conversation. We were talking about everything from reality TV to politics to music. You know, I really appreciated being called exceptional because I'm like, yeah, you know, not to be egotistical, but it's just when you know, like, reason why he like called me exceptional. He was saying like you can have all these kinds of conversations, and a lot of people your age oftentimes can't. The reason why I'm able to talk about all kinds of topics is because I'm just very curious about a lot of things. I will have my little deep dives when I find something that I'm fascinated about. And it also comes with my career. So I work in communications, and I used to work at a political communications firm where I had different clients on different issue areas. I basically had to become a mini expert on all those different topic areas. So what I would do is I had all these newsletters that I subscribed to that I would read in the morning to keep up to date with what was going on in the political world, and then all these podcasts I would listen to, all this information that I would digest. And also like talking to the clients and being on those meetings really helped me learn a lot of different topic areas and be very fascinated with different issue areas. I'm just consuming information from different sources and different mediums. And I also listen to podcasts outside of work when I'm cooking or when I'm cleaning. And then I also have newsletters that I subscribe to, like fashion newsletters, financial newsletters. So reading different types of topics can really help you be aware of what's happening in the world and be smarter. I will also say social media. Social media also keeps me up to date on things. Yes, be on social media, but don't rot away. And then watching documentaries. I love a good documentary. I love learning about different cultures, different parts of the world, different histories. YouTube has some really good documentaries. I feel like I'm always being hit with some random topic and I'm like, yep, watch later because I'm curious about what's happening here. So just being curious and teaching yourself, continuing your education even after college, even after school, so that you can build your mindset and learn more and make better decisions. Lastly, having a network of people in different industries has helped me have more of a wealthy girl mindset, even though my finances may not say that I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy in spirit. This, I think, is truly impacted by where you live. I would say moving to a city has helped me build that connection of people who are in different industries, people who are super smart and driven and passionate. I don't think I could have done that back in my city in North Carolina. I don't think I could have done that as broadly as I have been able to in DC, just because DC is such a melting pot and it's the capital of the country. And so even people who are traveling from different countries who are here for like a work trip, conferences, things like that, I get to meet people from all walks of life. And so I have friends and connections who are like in health, who are in tech, who are in finance, who are in the entertainment industry. You meet foreign officials, you meet elected officials. Like it's such a good place to be in your 20s when you want to really build a network, build a broader mindset of what life is. So I do recommend moving. If you're from a small town, I do recommend moving for a little bit just to build that network, because you can always move back to your small town, but you can't really build that network if you're in the small town and there's no one from different industries. Yes, you could do it online, but I feel like the connections in person, maybe I'm just an old soul, but I feel like the connections in person are way more meaningful and easier to do versus like cold calling, cold texting, cold emailing people, cold DMing people on LinkedIn. It's just a little bit difficult. But if you don't want to move, you can always travel or commute to a bustling city near you every now and then and go to different networking events, go to happy hours, go explore. I would also suggest doing that if you don't particularly want to live in a city. Just travel to the nearest big city. You can build that network that way. But if you are in a city, I would say go to happy hour, go to networking events, check out your local Eventbrite for different events and opportunities, because you'll find so many things on Eventbrite as well, especially if you're in a city, because it's just such a trove of information for people who are trying to find things to do. And so having a network of people in different industries just really broadens your view and perspective of the world and can really contribute to having a wealthy girl mindset, even if you feel like you may not be wealthy, because now you're around all kinds of people who have different access to different resources, who've had different life experiences, and it just helps you broaden your circle and feel like you're moving forward as well. So those are my 4 mindsets around having a wealthy girl mindset. Wealth, in my opinion, isn't just about money. It's about all kinds of things: freedom of movement, freedom of health, education. Just being able to have resources and access to those resources is so key to being a wealthy girl. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.